Morning garden friends, welcome back. Today we are going to take a tour of the Rose Alley. I was trying to get this done before the noise started. We're going to take a tour of the Rose Alley at the beginning of summer and what's coming along, what's blooming, what's fading, and what we can look forward to in the future. So let's get taking our tour. So let's get started on our Rose Alley tour, but I'm going to take you over here to the left side of the sidewalk and look, this Bosco Bell rose. This is normally much bigger. I had to give it a late prune because of the snow, broke it down, and that is a beautiful peace rose right there. It does gorgeous. And so far the gophers have not killed it. I'm going to change this. I'm going to put a wine barrel here, like this one. There used to be one here and then it rotted away, but I'm going to replace this because this plastic pot's ugly, and but it just haven't gotten there yet. So the iris over here is still doing beautifully. It's been really cold for this time of year, so the iris have lasted much longer, which I'm thrilled with. But here's the Tess D'Oberville rose, David Austin rose. It's in this barrel. These I had dug up from the back and I shared that with you and planted them in here with daffodils. I had a supernova clematis that did beautifully here last year. It did not make it over the winter. I'm not sure why. Ignore the dead tree. The snow killed that. It snapped it off. I tried to fix it. Didn't work, but it was worth a shot. So here is the other Tess rose growing beautifully up these. I don't know what you'd call these. They're like not a triangle. They're a circle, but they go up to a peak, and I wrap it round and round. Now here on this side of the Rose Alley, I wanted to show you what's going on. So down here, this peony is done blooming already, and I deadheaded it. But look, this Bosco Bell rose. There was two in here. The other did not make it, sadly. I had dug them up and put them in the barrel when the gophers started eating them to death. They were planted in the ground. Look at this Jupiter's beard. Isn't that just, it's so pretty, and this will bloom. I keep deadheading it through the summer, and it blooms along, and it does reseed, and I've planted some up in other areas. Look at this peony. Look at that big fluffy thing. Now I don't hold two. These are only 2 years old. I don't prune back all the buds off. I'm not a cut flower gardener. I just want to enjoy them. When they decide to bloom on their own, I'm not going to force them to do anything different by pinching them off the first couple of years. Now the premise was that it helps it to develop more roots. That's not been scientifically proven. That is what they assume they do. But there are peonies all through this neighborhood that have never had that done, and they have lived for 50 plus years. So I'm not going to worry about pruning them off. Like I said, I'm not a cut flower gardener, so I don't worry about producing more blooms after the first 3 years. I'm just letting them do their things. They are engineered to grow. My forcing them to do something different isn't going to change anything. So don't think you have to for the health of the plant. They will grow just fine without any manipulation. So that's my spiel on that. So here's another one growing just fine. The supports for these are too short now. These ones, see down here, I had the smaller supports because they were smaller last year. I thought this winter I had lost them to gophers, so I didn't bother putting more supports out that were taller. I will do so later. I have a whole blog post and video on creating supports for plants. And a lot of times I use, like you'll see this right here, I use the remesh panels, and I cut them to size, and then I make them into like a U shape or just a slight curve, and I pop them around plants as needed. And you can see they blend in just fine, but they make a beautiful support. So here's the little peony supports I made. This got severely smashed in the snow, but you can see how the peonies growing up through it. Those other ones, if they were taller, they would be doing the job just fine. So I need to make taller ones for the peonies now that they're bigger. Look at this bowl of beauty. So gorgeous. Over here, that is my love song rose. Let me zoom in for you. That lavender I just love. And then next to it is Plum Perfect, which will begin blooming soon. It blooms all summer. Both the love song and the Plum Perfect bloom beautifully all summer. Iris are still going strong as the roses and stuff come into bloom. The irises will probably last another week or two and then be done for the season. But look at this Nepeta, or Nepeta, however you pronounce it. This thing's massive. This is white, a white one, and a friend up at the garden center gave it to me. You may have heard me say that again. I did not anticipate it getting this big. It did not last year. So it just took off. I don't have any support for it, so we'll see how it holds up when it really gets the blooms on it. Now all the way down here, this is kind of stuff that's needs to be cleaned up. The kid I asked to come help me clean it up hasn't been available. It's been super busy in his business of yard maintenance. Look at that beautiful foxglove. I'll get up closer to that one. That is one of those that instead of drooping downwards, the petals or the flowers stick more horizontally. So as you can see down here, my lilacs, they did not bloom this year. I don't know why. My neighbors did. So I had anticipated mine would because they didn't get a late freeze. I don't know what happened. Oh, look down here. There. Look at that. So this raised bed right here, I grew tomatoes and squash in this last year, but I think I'm going to make this a small cut flower garden. This gets a lot of sun, a little bit of shade in the afternoon, and then sun again, but I'm filling it up, and I need to run irrigation to it, and then I can plant it with like cut flowers like sunflowers, zinnias, even cosmos here for just an interesting test. Since it's already here, it's out between the road and my garden, and you can see there's a lot of debris out here that needs to be picked up, and that is a work in progress. Look at this. This is my Demitasse rose. Isn't that? This thing is just done beautiful. The gophers have left it alone, which is amazing. And look at this. There's my Ambridge rose over there next to Rose Cottage. This is a David Austin rose, and it's just blooming beautifully here. Again, the gophers have left it alone. I don't know why. There's a big gopher tunnel near there. Oh, look at that. I'm going to have to take you over there. That foxglove is just the deepest magenta and so gorgeous. Sometimes when I'm doing these tours, I'm seeing plants that somehow I've missed seeing when I'm just walking the garden. Okay, I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to come back around through the rose alley. The sun is starting to come through the trees. You can see up there. You can hear the mountain chickadee. My wheelbarrow got a flat, so I haven't been able to come around and pick up debris as I've been cleaning up the garden beds, but we have that fix-a-flat, so hopefully that'll take care of it. So as I've shown before, here, this is my trumpet vine that I'm pruning into a standard, and it's starting to get the long branches. So I'm going to get my wire and start training those branches. Look at this rose. This one I just planted. Madame Alfred Carrière. So this one is going to be trained up this obelisk or arbor, and it's going to be gorgeous. It's doing so well already, blooming. This one, Abraham Darby, it needs to be deadheaded. This one's going to come out of here. This is going to get too much shade, so I'm going to have to pull that pot out of there. Look at this clematis. This one needs to be deadheaded, but it's just going crazy. This is a very old clematis, and you can see if you follow it down, it's coming from way back there. And I didn't purposely put it up this arbor. It found it, amazingly enough. Now here is something And I should have a video of me training my rose. This is Dreamweaver Rose up our new trellises. Now this had been on an obelisk, which I pulled out, but look at the trellis. Can you see it there? I wanted it to basically kind of disappear, and it matches the wire that's in the frame of the porch. Yes, I need to clean off my porch. My husband and I were talking about getting everything cleaned up. We've been so busy. We've been just running that we haven't been able to do some maintenance, and we need to get to that. But my cat's pajamas Nepeta has been so wonderful. I haven't found any more in containers to put on the other side, but I noticed I already have some over here. So I must have got started with it over here, and it's going to fill in just fine. Slowly but surely. I had to move some from my secret cottage garden yesterday, and there's the little transplant I got there. So it's going to fill in. I think that'll be gorgeous having both sides. Ignore the iris I've already pulled out in the pathway. I think having it on both sides is going to be just gorgeous. I have no idea who's making all that racket. So over here, this is the backside of that Bosco Bell. There is a rose planted right there. So that's going to get trained up. I think that's my New Dawn rose. I have a sport of New Dawn called Awakening that's supposed to be even better performer, and I'm thinking maybe I'll put it in here too. The Quicksilver here, rose, has not put on a lot more new growth, but it took a bit of a shock being transplanted in here. But slowly but surely. I have more delphiniums planted down in there. So they seem to be coming along. This lupin is just now, I mean, it's bloomed, well, for a couple weeks now. It's got a couple side shoots too. But it was a pretty light lavender. I had a fuchsia pink one that I just loved. So I've got some black-eyed Susans coming up in here, and they're doing great. So they'll start flowering, and when it gets really hot, and it'll be a pop of yellow amongst all this pink and purple. Back there, that is some asters doing beautifully in here. Asters, and I think I have more phlox in here. Look at this. This is my Gertrude Jekyll climber, and I think I got this from David Austin Roses. Not David, I'm sorry, yes. Did I buy this one from David Austin Roses? I might have, bare root. And it's supposed to be own root. I made sure, because they do carry some of theirs own root as well. So I'm stepping backwards. Look at that way. This barrel I was planning on moving. I'm going to have to wait now because everything's blooming, and it's going to be kind of a hassle to get it out of there without trampling plants. When they go dormant, we can get them out. Or I can go ahead, fill it up, plant it, and move it later in the fall, and that might be an option. So this is a crazy daisy here. That's going to be going into bloom. Probably next week it'll be opening up. But here is the other rose trellis that we put up. This is my Zephyrine drone or Druin, however you pronounce it, rose. And it's going to climb all the way up. And then I will train it along the eave. That is the plan. And this has made it up along the eave before. I just trimmed it back hard last summer because we were having the rails painted and replaced, and now I just got that trellis put up. So that is going to work beautifully. Another rose that is blooming gorgeously and has been for a week. This is my Crown Princess Margareta. And because it's been so cool, it's been holding its apricot-y color. Whereas when it gets in the sun, the heat of the sun fades it out. Oh, I need to back up. Look at this. This is my Jubilee Celebration David Austin Rose. You can see where the needle nose beetles created damage, but I have not noticed any more. I think the first flush of them hatching is over, I'm hoping. I haven't seen any more that I need to go and dump into soapy water. So this Jubilee Celebration for me blooms all summer long. This thing, once it starts, is never usually out of bloom. So if you're looking for a gorgeous rose, a David Austin rose that blooms continuously, this is an option. So this is on this side. You can see up over there, you can see the Love Song rose. Usually it's taller, but I had to do a late hard prune because of all the snow damage. We don't normally get 9 feet of snow. We can get up to 4 feet, but that 9 feet really did some damage to a lot of plants. So and it's just now catching back up. But it's been so cold too here. So in here is where I'm going to have to figure out what kind of summer color. I see there's a daisy coming up there. And I know I have heleniums in here. There are some black-eyed Susans. The foxgloves, once they're done, whatever's going to fill in. I have a delphinium down there. This is a beautiful Veronica. Isn't that gorgeous? That one's from Annie's Annuals. I don't remember the name of it, but I'll find it and put it in there. Here's another one, and I forgot the name. Sometimes I grab those sale rack plants and I just pop them in. And then later I'll figure out what it is. These Sweet Williams are starting. These Sweet Williams will reseed. Sweet Williams do fabulous for me in my garden. These were started from seed, and they will reseed. Look at this rose. Isn't this one gorgeous? Beautiful. And I just planted that, and behind it is another Veronica. Oh, I have to show you this penstemon. This thing is absolutely the most vibrant blue. I hope it's coming across. It's kind of smashed down. I didn't think I would need to provide a support for it, but it looks like I do. It's laying down. So along this side, this is my Rose Cottage patio area, which this is going to change just a little bit. I'll explain that later, but I planted dianthus along here because they do beautifully. This was a simple little 6-pack from the garden center. It overwinters just fine for me. And yeah, this is asters. This is a bright fuchsia pink aster. I've dug it up and divided it a couple of times. Yeah, I had this Table Mountain Delosperma here, ice plant, that last year it just covered this entire wall, and it didn't make it through the winter. I have more up front, up where the bobo hydrangeas were, and I can transplant it here because it did beautifully for a couple winters, and I don't know why this last winter it bit the dust. So this is one of those found roses I got from Antique Rose Emporium, and it's called Pam's Pink. That's why I bought it. It does struggle with different fungus disorders, but I love it so much. And it's got, wild and woolly flowers. And you'll notice at the base of it is this beautiful lamium, but it's starting to encroach over here, and in another video, I'll show how I keep it in check. It's not hard at all. So let's look back up over Rose Alley. So can you just imagine all of these arbors covered with roses? Give it a couple years and it will be spectacular as we walk through at this time. And there's my Crown Princess Margaretta rose again, and you notice how it really fades out here as the sun hits it. Now there's more that are a little peachier up there. Now this one is supposed to be a shrub rose, but David Austin roses, I've mentioned this before, in the United States, because of our temperatures, warmer temperatures, they do tend to want to throw up long canes. And so I've just let this one go as a climber. Now down here at the base, you notice there's very few flowers. So that's where you fill in with other things down here. And I have planted, I had echinacea in here, but the gophers did eat them. So I'm thinking I will put some cosmos here, like maybe the Sonata mix. They stay shorter. And I do have some lilies planted, like right here in these pots. And this is my Grandpa Newt rose, because we dug it up from their farmyard when we had to sell their house. And as I said, I have a lot of plants that are in memory of family members that I enjoy. So look at my Warsaw Nike clematis. It is about to get blooming. Now this one is categorized both as a type 2 or type 3 pruning type clematis. So type 2s, it's old and new wood they bloom on. Type 3s, it's basically new wood, new growth, I should say, not wood, but they grow on. So yeah, I've got that one. I pruned that back hard I don't know if it was fall or late winter before we got snowed in, but anyways, that one got pruned down to about 12 inches, and then look how it's grown since then. Now remember, the snow just melted in April. So this is my monk's hood. This is a bicolor. Yes, they are very, very poisonous, but I don't plan on eating them. And I don't plan on making tea from them. So behind my Japanese maple, look at, this is my Biocovo hardy geranium. I do love hardy geraniums. The gophers leave them alone. This plant, this poor rose, I think I've let it dry out. But that's the same white ground cover rose that I have in the front. So I think that is my Rose Alley tour. I'm going to take you along to the side of the Primrose Cottage. This rose was supposed to come out. I didn't get to it. This rose, I've tried to dig out. Look at that. The powdery mildew on this is atrocious, and it suffers all summer long, and it looks terrible. It's not worth keeping. I just haven't had a chance to dig it out. So look at these foxgloves. Gorgeous. Look at that deep color. I'm loving that. And against the iris. These are all self-seeders. Along here, I just kind of let things do their thing. This is some Monarda. I think this is Purple Rooster, but I'm not sure. And this is the Ambridge Rose. Look at that thing. It is just going strong. Now, I was telling you about the gophers. I don't know if you can really tell, but there's a big, deep, sunken area here. And it's about 2 feet in area. And that is some reason, this is like Gopher Central. I have filled this in so many times, and it keeps on sinking. I don't know why that's a main thoroughfare for them. But look over here. Here's my Demitasse rose. Isn't that thing? This thing will bloom all summer. It likes that it gets a little bit of shade in the afternoon. And I'll show you why. Let me zoom up over here. You see these trees right here? These have been marked to be taken down, and I wouldn't mind if they were taken down, because in the winter and early spring and late fall, I would get more sunlight on my garden. And so that would improve growing conditions. But it also is quite pleasant in the heat of the summer. At about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it provides shade. So it's a catch-22. Either way, there's a benefit. So I take what as I will. But they are compromised, and they need to come down, or they will fall down on somebody's house. Look, some more. I'm pulling out the soaker hose, replacing with my drip. So that's why that's still here. So there you have it, my friends. My Rose Alley. Oh, look at this one. Oh, let me see. Is that white with pink center? I've never seen that before. Sorry, total distraction. That is an interesting one. Beautiful. My foxgloves, everything, they are allowed to cross-pollinate. And so sometimes I get these complete surprises. I had a yellow one. Yellow, and it had pink on it too. And it was just so surprising a color. This Japanese maple's done great here. And in that tub over there, I don't know if they'll come up. Let me walk around there. I'm trying to get around my vintage wheelbarrow, which I need to put in a certain spot. I have elephant's ears in here. So I don't know if those will come up. It didn't show any sprouts on it. You know, sometimes they'll have little sprouts coming out of the roots of when you pull them out of the containers. But anyways, I know I didn't explain that well. So over here, I've got my white petunias that I grew from seed, ready to go out. And some tubs I need to refill. or I'm rethinking a lot of containers, meaning whether I'm going to plant them up or not, because that's just more added work if I don't have irrigation set up. So this is where I was testing my irrigation system. So I need to stop here, because I'm going off to my secret cottage garden and I needn't. But look, just beautiful. This will change dramatically within just a few weeks, and I will share. And I'm going to share some projects, how I'm going to put in color that will go through the summer, etc. So come on back, and I hope you enjoyed the tour of the Rose Alley on this June 23rd. Oh, thank you, friends, for joining me on the Rose Alley garden tour update and what it's looking like here around the summer solstice with the roses coming into bloom, etc. I am trying to survey what will be coming into bloom when the irises are done, because they are the real color right now, a lot of it. So I've got to think about what annuals maybe to sow, like cosmos or zinnias, in there to carry the color on through the summer. I do have some black-eyed Susans, some delphiniums. I'm looking over there at it a little bit to kind of get some ideas. But if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comment box below. And if you want any other information on gardening, tips and tricks, etc., you can check out my website over at flowerpatchfarmhouse.com, where these videos complement my website. So take a look over there. So I will see you in the next video, where I will be sharing some other garden project with you. All right, bye.